Welcome to our
22nd
podcast. Woo woo! It's, that's a big number. Well, not giant, but for podcasts, it's there. It's not 5.
We've been doing it for a little while, and a lot of you stuck with me last week with the solo podcast. So happy to have Kristin back with me.
Happy
Always
to be here.
More fun with you.
Thanks. Yeah, and I actually watched a few podcasts of other knitters, and like the Grocery Girls, I watched a little bit of them. I watched another Yarn Stores podcast, and so people do different things, and like some of them answer questions.
Yep.
So we're happy to do that if you ever have questions for us you want us to address, or anything else on a podcast.
Ooh, that's a fun idea.
Yeah. But just ask us questions. We like to talk.
We do.
We have lots to say.
And the ones that I tend to watch are, I like to tune into Young Folk Knits.
Oh, yeah.
Casey Apple, she's so cool to watch, and I kind of like to watch what she's up to in terms of what she's knitting, because she does a lot of test knitting, and a lot of sort of her aesthetic is, I think, very current, and she does a lot of test knits for like Sari Nordland and Andrea Mowry, and so
cool.
That's fun.
Test knit life, huh?
It is. And then every now and then she's like, I have to stop doing so many test knits. And I think all of us watchers are like, hee hee, we know you, kind of. I mean, not really, but let's remember to talk about what we're wearing first.
And who we are. Hi, I'm Kristin.
And I'm Iris.
We are the Cashmere Goat Yarn Store. This is our podcast, and thank you for joining us. And what are you wearing?
I am wearing something that might look to the naked eye like the Anker summer shirt by Petite Knit, because it has a very similar ribbed kind of round yoke, but there are some differences. We've got some garter stitch up here around the collar. Sleeves are just short, just as it is.
And I think there's more
garter.
There's more sections, isn't there?
I think you're right, and also this little ridgy garter bit is different. So this is called the Riven Tee, and it's came with the trunk show we're having right now with Noro.
Oh yeah, we are doing a Noro trunk show.
And this is Sonata. So this is a store where I'm just wearing it for the podcast. I really like it. I like the fit in terms of one of the details, which you're not going to be able to see because I'm sitting down, but there's a really nice little dropped hem in the back.
Yes.
It's an elegant detail.
And a garter stitch kind of hem at the bottom.
Yes.
Which is nice in a yarn that is like this. It offers a really nice finished edge.
And Sonata is cotton and silk.
Yes.
And so I think, just to your point, like it does provide a little structure.
Mm-hmm,
but I love how Sonata, it really shows off that sort of, what do we call, semi-solid? Was that what they call it? Tonal.
And there's a little texture too.
Yes.
Which is very subtle because it's silk, and so there's a little unevenness which it adds, but it's not like crazy. Just tiny little blips here and there.
It's really comfortable.
It's pretty. It's such a good color. I don't see you wear pink a lot.
I wear like bright pink, but not softer pink, but maybe I need to get into the soft pink.
It looks really good. I think it works with your skin tone.
Cool. And you're wearing?
I am wearing, and I don't know the name of this shawl. This shawl came from, I have a customer that passed away, and she was a brilliant woman and a gifted knitter, and had a huge collection of things she'd knit, of yarn, and they had a big sale last year to benefit, I think, women in education. And I went, and I got a few finished objects, and she was a very tall woman, and so she made everything extra big. So this, I don't know what it's made out of. It feels like it's lace weight, and it's silk and wool. That would be my guess. But it's gigantic.
Oh, so pretty.
But super lightweight.
Just like a cloud.
And it's a little bit lacy, but not crazy, like all over lace. So I was able to, I have a hack I'll share. My blocking hack that and this is the reason why it happened, because it's so big. I'm like, where am I gonna block this? How, like, it's huge. It is really huge. And so I was like, I just was thinking one day, and I washed it and I hung it on the line, and so I hung it with the wide part on top, and then I, at the very tip, because it's a wedge shaped shawl, and so at the end I hung a few clothespins to weight it down because it's very lightweight. And I'm like, oh, and then I put a couple more along the edges, and it dried quick and it was perfectly blocked. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was like so fast and easy and didn't take up like a mile of space in my house or in the store. And it wouldn't work for everything, but it worked really well. I will be using it again. So that is my little hack that, I don't know, maybe someone else has done that. But for me, it just, nobody told me about it. It came out of my brain, and
so fun.
I've used it a few times now, and I'm like, oh, this is so easy. And if it was fancy lace, like a lot of lace, it wouldn't work. You'd need to pin it. But
good to know.
Super fun, super fast. And I'm wearing the Ivy shirt, I think it's called. The it's made out of Nieva, which is a yarn that is going away for us. It's very soft. It's a sport weight pattern, and very comfortable, easy to wear.
Cotton alpaca?
I think so. It's
really pretty.
And people keep giving me compliments on it, so I guess it's decent. Yeah. So nice. I'm enjoying it, and it's nice to have right now. If the weather in Maine is very changeable, and was hot, and now it's just been
had some nice cooler days.
We have, and you just never know. We also have huge solar gain, so even if it's not that hot, but it's really sunny, it can be hot in the store. So it's interesting to get ready for work these days.
Layer it up.
Layers are the name of the game.
One of the people we work with, Isla, she works with me on Sundays. She coined the term stordrobe.
Yes.
So I love that. She used it in the context of like, well, I have to think of what I can, my stordrobe, the clothes that I can, make myself, knit myself and wear to the store. But I was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. We're
such word nerds here. You made up another word yesterday.
Well, I did. Should I just go into that part? We have a list, but we're already off the list. That's okay.
I'm like, list? No, what list?
No. Well, Kristin had this yarn on her desk, and this is a yarn that we are considering. It is 100% Coriadale, and it's called Chusku by Mirasol.
It's a new yarn from Mirasol.
New yarn, and I picked it up and I was like, oh,
it's so, which is why it's on my desk.
So squishy, and I use the word plushious to describe it because it's plush and luscious, and you just want to keep squeezing it. And then that prompted a conversation that we were having with Rachel, who's an awesome new addition to our team here at The Goat. She's also a spinner and a fiber-loving person, photographer, great color work knitter. It's like, wow.
She's,
multi-talented, as many of us are. We all have our different talents.
We do.
So I was like, okay, guys, so what is this worsted versus woolen spun? I don't feel like I really understand it. And so we kind of were looking at this, which is a DK weight, if you can believe it.
And it's so fluffy.
It's so dang fluffy.
It really looks like a ball of a hank of worsted weight.
It does.
It really does.
And so I was like, okay, so let's compare these two, because this, as we know, is one of my heart's favorites, the Fleece BFL by West Yorkshire Spinners, also DK, but I mean, check out this.
And so what's the yardage difference?
So let's say the fleece is, I should know this by heart, 246. And over here we've got 273.
Mm-hmm. So this one has more yardage.
Which
but it looks fatter.
Yeah. Interesting.
So
we had some discussion about worsted v woolen, and kind of like all sort of feel like we're not entirely having our brains wrapped around it.
And so I also want to say the other confusing thing about worsted is we use the word worsted all the time as a weight.
Right, as a yarn weight.
So the word has two very different meanings in the same
fiber
area.
context.
In the same area.
So one has to do with spinning, like how the fibers are spun together, and one has to do with the weight.
Right.
So this is
could be
DK weight
and worsted.
It could be worsted squared.
So that automatically makes everyone go blah, blah, blah.
So
like,
I did a little
that
Google.
Was my cartoon.
Yep.
That was bad.
It was good. No, it was good.
I'm not sure that was good.
So I did a little Googling, and I found an analogy that I really like. Now, I'm still not positive that I fully grok this, but woolen.
You fully what?
Grok? Like, that's like a 70s term, isn't it?
Yeah. Is that like caveman?
I don't know. Grokking was like, I think a sort of 70s, early 80s. It meant like really get something.
Oh, that's a new one on me.
Okay, well, we'll have to Google that one too. But I think it was sort of in the like, yeah, I get you, man, kind of.
Sorry. Sorry.
Anyway.
That word will be said multiple times today.
I love it when I can introduce Kristin to a new word as a fellow word nerd. All right, so the analogy that kind of made me think I might understand something about this, maybe, is that woolen is like when you wake up in the morning with bedhead and everything is woo, like me, crazy hair. And then, so that means the fibers are not really organized before spinning as much.
They're just sort of left fluffy.
Fluffy, like curly hair in the morning. And then worsted is when I take my curl conditioner and make my curls kind of all like behave together. And so
yeah, so they get comb the fibers straight.
Everything is lying more in line with each other.
And the other one, the fiber just is the way the fiber is
doing it. So I feel like with that in mind, this to me looks like smooth worsted because everything is very organized, and this one might be woolen.
Correct us if we're wrong.
Please do. We would love to. If you have a better way of understanding this, like, we would love to know.
It's something I have read about no less than 5 times, and it is one of those things that I just forget. I just forget what it means, and
well, maybe the hair analogy will help us.
And I'm like, is that correct or backwards? Because I've learned about it so many times.
That's why I wrote it down on our paper.
Okay, so it's correct. So okay, man, I grok you, man.
Okay, great. Far out. Well, we have something exciting to share in terms of what we're knitting, because we are knitting the same project, and you're ahead of me, but we're.
Am I?
I mean, I think close-ish.
Not by much.
We're both knitting the Goff Place mystery shawl, and this is a mystery knit along that Kate Davies is doing this summer. And I showed a little bit of my square on my solo podcast last week. But what I love is that Kristin and my palettes are so different, and
they are so different,
really beautiful in their own way. But we are almost ready for Clue 2 to drop. Is it Wednesday, the 12th?
Yep.
So, and the rows are getting really long now.
They are. I have just started with my putting in the last color. So
hold it up.
Okay.
Show.
So I'm in the middle of a row, so I can't spread it out much, but you get the idea. So this is 5 colors. I used 3 colors of Pheno, which is a dream. So the 2 like white and off-white is Pheno. Well, it's not off-white, it's gray, I guess. And then the lighter blue is Pheno. And then I threw a skein of Machida in there, and that's Neverland. That's this
The
pinkish one.
Pinky one.
Sort of like your shirt, but a little earthier. And then a skein of Astrid, and that's the darker. And I chose this palette because everyone I was looking at just seemed so jarring to me. For whatever reason, I wanted something soft and not jarring. And I love my color choices. I hemmed and hawed for weeks, and then I'm now happy with this and love it. And
it feels beautiful.
And it feels incredible. And I will say these 3 yarns come off as almost the same.
Yeah.
Which is when you're working with them and how they're knitting up, they work really well together. And they're all single ply. The Fino and the Astrid have silk in them, but the Machida does not.
But super wash.
Yeah, yep. So
That's
that
so
one's
pretty.
a little bit different, but this will not be getting washed by a machine.
No.
No, this will probably get the
clothesline treatment.
Yeah, because it's garter. Well, who knows what's going to happen next?
Right. I call Kristin's shawl, it's like seashell. It's like soft and seashell-y. All right, so I'm almost at the end of the row. Let me just hustle right along. We're trying to make our goal. That's why we were like, we're knitting today.
We're so
while
knitting.
we chat, because we've got another clue coming. We were talking a little bit about being a little bit tired of these long rows of garter.
Yeah.
So this is my very different, perhaps jarring palette.
Sorry to use that word. It's still beautiful, and I love it.
I love it too. I love how fun the fireworks. This is Nimble Sock, the cream color. It has this little flecks, and then I have Venus is this kind of a little bit color changing lighter purple. That was like a special magic accident that Seven Sisters Karen Grover had, and so this is all sock yarn. And then I have the dark the pop color coral and this dark purple that is Yawol.
Yep.
And then this beautiful gold is Squash Blossom. Yeah, by
Seven Sisters.
Yeah, Seven Sisters. So,
and yours took a lot of thinking about color too.
Yeah, and we talked about how I had started, a couple episodes ago, how I started with different yarn and colors that I thought were great, and then was like, no, this is not feeling good.
You were not feeling it at all.
So I designed it basically around that skein of Venus, because I was like, well, when I look at Venus, it makes me delighted. So what can I have work with Venus? And I think part of my hang up was the whole 5 colors, a light, a dark, a pop, and 2 mid-range. And I was just sort of, I don't know, just struggling maybe.
I struggled with that too. It sounds so simple, but the way I did it, because I knew I didn't want it to be harshly contrasted at all, I kept going, taking those guidelines and kind of like so my starting point, my lightest and my darkest
are
which is these 2. Let's see. No. Which is these 2. My lightest and darkest are not like, this isn't like, I started like, oh, I need a dark, so I started with like a navy, dark navy, but I was like, that's too much for me right now. Yep. So I kind of pulled everything close together, so that made my medium just this, which is not very different, and then another lighter blue, which is not very different, and then a little bit of pop.
Yes. The pinky pop.
A little bit of pop. And these are Cozy Cakes, which are genius, and they are keeping me,
especially for this project, right?
Because there's 5.
Also, because the Yawol skeins come in those like bullets and they're small, I bought like the small Bink Waffle Cozy Cake.
So what's nice is, because I generally not always, but I like to pull from the middle, and this really keeps, I mean, you have to pull from the middle if you're going to use these, but this really keeps, so many times when you pull from the middle, it collapses in on itself, and then you have to stop halfway through and wind your skein
Yeah.
backwards.
We don't like that.
Yeah, and so this stops that from happening, which I love. I love me a good yarn bra. So, and this was my key, which I had so much fun making.
So organized and beautiful. Also, hold it up so they can see your hole punch. Star-shaped.
There, and Miranda said they are like little shooting stars because
the star plus the tail. Yes.
So funny. So it's a fun project. I am getting a little sick of these long rows. I'm not a huge long row fan. I do have my sneaking suspicion that it's going to get worse from here.
I know. So, I mean, you know, we're assuming this panel might be part of the center back, but.
Right. But they're not having us cast off or
keep
anything.
the stitches live.
So I think they're probably, you know, I was hopeful for a parallelogram shape because I like that. But
we'll see.
We will see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have other stuff to talk
yes,
about, as always.
Yes, we do. So I'm going to share a little bit about the finish along, which just is kicking off this week. This is our second summer of doing it. It kind of evolved last year because our Sundays are typically when we have our knit along in-person meetups, and our Wednesdays are typically our Zoom meetups when we have knit alongs. Yep. And both of those groups were like, well, what's going to happen in the summer? Can we keep coming? Like, what's going on here? Yeah. And it was sweet. And then also concurrently, people were like, gosh, I got a lot of like unfinished projects. And so we dreamed up this idea that finish along could be a fun way to kind of help ourselves be motivated to excavate some of those project bags that maybe have accumulated, as they do.
As they do.
So we had our meetup here in the store on Sunday, and it was super fun. We had a number of unfinished socks, and so I did some content for Instagram about like, here's the unfinished socks from 3 different knitters. Yeah. And so we laid them all out. Somebody had a 20-year-old sweater. And somebody had one of those socks was a 7-year-old pair of unfinished socks.
I am not shocked one little bit by that.
And so actually, this was something else somebody on Sunday said, you know, we need to help inform the partners or spouses of our knitters and crafters that this is normal. This is normal. So if you've got one of those people that's always like, hey, why do you have to buy new yarn? What about those unfinished projects over there? Like, why are you going to the yarn store again? Maybe just cue up the video to this part. And so be like, okay, so unfinished projects happen.
They do.
For all sorts of reasons. Sometimes projects have to go in timeout temporarily.
Yeah, they can be really bad.
They can be naughty.
Have to go in timeout.
We can get frustrated with them, and you just have to give them some space, get some space. And so a project could go in timeout for any number of reasons. Also, sometimes you're going on a trip and you can't take some kind of giant shawl that's a million stitches and a big giant thing. You need something small. So you cast on for something small to take with you.
Yeah, and most of us, like, it's hard to imagine traveling without at least one knitting project. Or 5.
Yeah, sure.
But we never know if we're, like, are we actually going to knit when we go away? We don't know. But our worst horror is to be like stuck in the airport for 8 hours and not have our knitting, because 8 hours of knitting time is not a thing that happens.
Just what are you going to do? Sit there? What do people do? They just sit there.
They just sit there.
On their phones? Well, we could be making something awesome. So, I mean, so there's any number of reasons, right, that we have these projects. The other thing, too, is, you know, we're in a craft that is supposed to be joyful. And there's times where our current project has stopped bringing us some joy for whatever reason. Yep. It's not our job or occupation. It's our craft and the thing that we really love to do. So we often might need to just have a little palette cleanser in the middle of a larger project. So That's the PSA.
Yes.
Is some people collect tools, for example.
Some people do.
Some people save boxes in their basement. Some people collect pieces of wood that might come in handy later. I mean, I know these people.
I look at these people.
We all, yeah. So, okay. So that's our PSA.
Some people collect rocks.
Some people collect rocks. Yep.
I'm just saying. And so also Fairpoint yarn collection and knitting or crocheting are really kind of two different things, and we joke about that, but
two hobbies.
Some balls of yarn are just so pretty, like you want to display them.
Yeah.
And so
kind of like a piece of wood that's really
Yeah.
special.
Yep.
That is a special
and like
wood.
I had before we did our knit, I had like a yarn crush on the Sweeto right here, that gray.
let me
And
grab it.
So, and one of my reps had given me a ball of this, and it sat on my desk and stared at me for 2 years before I ordered this yarn. And it's just simple. It's sort of like if you we now know, and you've learned, if this lives on my desk for more than a day, that means I'm thinking hard about it. And so there's not a lot of colors of this, though. We have other choices too. The feel of that one has really
been amazing.
It really gets us. And you know, I have been trying to like curate a little more. People keep asking me for things, and I want to cover all the bases, which I know is kind of impossible, but I'm going to try. And we don't have it over here right now, but we recently did actually, should I not tell them?
What are we talking about?
What you're put in tomorrow's email?
Oh, yes, let's make them read the email tomorrow.
Okay, sorry. Anyways, something unusual that I have not bought for the store before. So
because of customer requests.
Because people keep asking. And so, but we do have something new that I can show you. This popped up yesterday in the mail. And this is Lance de Nord, which I am really loving Lance de Nord. It is...
Look, it kind of perfectly goes with both of what we're wearing.
There we go.
This is our palette today.
And like... it is beautiful, soft colors. These ones are. So this yarn, we have Poema. This is Poema Cashmere. So it's 80, I think 20.
80 merino, 20 cashmere.
And it feels like cashmere. It is really, really soft. It's a really nice mix.
Look at this with Kristin.
Yeah, I mean,
it goes with all of her
I kind of want to just...
And guess how much yardage you're getting? 545 yards.
This is another
DK
color.
weight.
And if you need a little pop.
That's
so this is a luxury yarn. This is
gorgeous.
I was thinking about a lightweight kerchief. You're the person who
our
came
customer came in yesterday thinking about making the Age of Brass and Steam little kind of shawl. And we were literally in the boxes with this, and she was like, oh my gosh, I've been trying to figure this out. And the price, it's $50 a ball because it's cashmere. But you're only going to need one ball, and she's not even going to get through the whole ball. But this one, a little closer.
It's
yeah.
subtle.
So it's a navy and a black gray.
It's a very, very subtle.
Yeah.
Classy.
But it feels very, very
one.
light.
This matches you.
That's a kind of seashell vibe right there, isn't it?
This feels so good. I wish you could feel it.
Yes.
And then look at that little pop.
That feels summery, doesn't
it?
Does. Like your little something you're gonna throw over your shoulder.
I feel like we need a little shawl in the store so that people can see and feel the amazingness of this yarn. So yeah, this just came out. We just got this yesterday. It's all on the computer.
I'll list it below. So that's fun.
We need to come up with some ideas of what to make with it.
I think as simple as we were talking about with a couple of our reps, the design to showcase this yarn, you need a design that's not busy because the yarn is the star of the show.
Yeah, that's one of the things I get frustrated. It's like you can have yarn that's doing a lot of the heavy lifting as far as color changing or brightness or texture. Or you can have a pattern that is doing a lot of, like, you're doing color work or you're doing stitch work.
Right.
And so when you put them together, it can be a lot. It can be too much.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a hot mess. And so I always try to separate them, and it seems like, sorry if you can hear that horn, it's just about summer here in downtown Camden, Maine. So somebody's car alarm is going off. Reality. It's like our little summertime alarm.
Mm-hmm.
Summer's here.
Yep. Car alarm's going off.
So anyways, what was I saying?
We were just talking about the choosing the right yarn for a pattern.
Oh, right.
Because you're either going to have a pattern that, it's a lot of texture. So, if you have a lot of texture sweater, like Petite Knit Storm Sweater, for example, which is what I thought about. It's a beautiful all over textured sweater with these beautiful, kind of like the Sea Haven. So use this, not like some sort of wild and crazy dappled, speckled, whatever, right?
And, and you can do whatever you want.
Sure.
And some people do like that. And I acknowledge everybody's.
Yes.
Even though what I like is, correct. I do allow you to make other choices. Just kidding. I am just kidding.
Love it.
But it definitely, there's some funky designs out there. You might have noticed sometimes on Ravelry that there are some funky designs out in the world.
And sometimes what's hard, and this is, I think, our challenge, is we'll see a pattern and the yarn it's in on the pattern picture, you're like, ooh, that doesn't really show me what's really happening in this pattern. And that's a bummer, because that means, I mean, it's, if you can't visually parse out like what's going on in a pattern, I feel like that is kind of a failure on the part of it. We have
a baby blanket pattern, and it looks like a portrait of the baby. It's a beautiful picture of this gorgeous baby, and it's done with a bokeh, so the baby's face is clear as bell, and the blanket, which is what it's for, is all blurry.
Oh. Yeah, great.
It's like, thanks for the baby picture. What does the
actual pattern look like? Yes.
So,
well, I want to talk about, we've been getting so many new things. It's been amazing. We're gearing up for summer in a major way. I think I talked about this a little bit, but we've gotten a couple of things that we're extra excited about. So the first is, this is called a Notion Nook, and it's by Fox and Pine Stitches. And it's like a little tackle box that opens up with magnets. And it has all these little bitty closable little compartments. And then wait for this, okay? Closes with magnets.
So good.
It's the best. So these, Kristin got 5 last week, or no?
I got there's 4 colors.
4 colors.
And I got 2 of each color. We have 2 left.
Ooh, and this is a big one.
But they have already, I ordered this yesterday afternoon, and they announced that they're shipping.
Perfect. So we're going to get restocked, because this is last 2 left. So
I've ordered a lot more than 2 each.
Just open and close them all day long.
And
have fun just organizing your little bits and bobs.
And the person who is Fox and Pine showed on her Instagram, she was going on a car trip, and she's got 2 young kids, and she filled 2 of them with all different snacks, little candies and all sorts of things. And she knew like it wasn't gonna last, but the kids were so excited, and I just loved that idea.
So you could buy one for your notions and one for your like little snack pack.
Right.
Pack yourself some snacks.
Or I don't know. I feel like there's you could use it if you were a beater, maybe.
Oh, totally.
You could use it.
And it's a nice portable size. Like that's going to fit in your bag.
It's not a full-on tackle box, because we don't want to take our tackle box everywhere, because we're not fishermen.
No. Nope.
And
Okay, so next up in terms of exciting is something we heard about from a customer, and
and also, a couple employees were like,
all right,
you have to get these, you have to get these, you have to get these, and I didn't for a long time.
It's the Doodle Decks by Pacific Knit Co. And so it is a mix and match color work patterns, so you can kind of design and like browse a pack and design your own. So this is the basic doodle card deck, and we have, I think, all 10 of them, and I just pulled the ones that would have nice like high contrast for you to see. So this is the Ocean deck.
That's Ocean 2,
Ocean 2.
So this one just came out. Yep, this is the
perfect.
Ocean 2 doodle deck, and I'm actually gonna open it up and show you what it looks like.
Because the bigger packs are plastic, so you can open that one. Yeah.
But these ones, like, it tells you what to do and how to sequence it. And people make cowls and stuff. They make all sorts of things. So, but this shows you, it gives
seahorses.
It gives you the directions. And there are, I don't know, there's like 23 in here. And it shows like how to do like a cowl. Yeah. And they're just so fun. Like, people have gone crazy for these.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm now looking
at
them
I know.
too much.
Okay, so this is the baking doodle deck. So cupcakes, KitchenAid mixer, whisk, rolling pin, adorable. And then I also pulled out the summer doodle card deck because look, you could do fun pine trees and mountains and little fishies, octopuses.
And those are bigger.
These are bigger.
These are bigger. The basic deck.
This is 51 and these little ones have 24. So it's sort of like, some of them are.
And they all have an instructional card and a cowl pattern cards.
Yes.
2 cowl pattern cards.
So those are exciting.
They're
We've been selling those. People have been really excited about them at knit nights.
Yes, we have, and there is more. There's more coming. Just so much ordering lately.
And then the question, but where do we put it, Kristin?
You'll figure it out.
Yes, we do. We always do. And we've got a good team of folks who are very spatial.
We do. We have people with amazing gifts here. I'm
going to put the link to the knit along down below, and I'll try to pull together all the different links. But the knit along is actually going to run into September this year. We felt that we did a knit along
in September.
The finish along is going to go through September.
Yes.
The knit along we did last fall, it was great. It was for the Schoodic Bay, but it was a little bit much because we're still so busy in September.
September's our busiest month of the year.
So we decided to skip a knit along in September and just continue with finish along. And so our goal is we'll be like setting ourselves up for some great fall knitting and winter knitting and getting some stuff finished. And so what you get when you sign up for the finish along is you are going to get occasional encouraging emails from us, showcasing some of the progress people are making. You get a downloadable project planner, which people like to fill out.
And who knows, maybe we'll offer a prize. Maybe we should offer a prize.
That would be fun.
So that, like, every object you actually finish, you get a chance
to win.
All
oh my gosh, we're brainstorming right now.
We're doing that.
That's a good idea. So we have Sunday meetups. We have a couple Zooms per month, and so you'll get all that information if you sign up. It's fun, and I think what's fun for me is the motivation to just like, hey, you know what? Maybe you just put in a few rows on whatever it is during your drop-in time when you chat with your friends.
And the funny thing is, like,
I can show and tell about that.
You can.
Yes.
You can. It's we never really think, for some of us, we can't imagine, finishing all of our projects, because some of us really have the joy of casting on. We
call it cast-on-itis. And I was texting with one of our friends and customers here, and she was like, I've got to hurry up and cast on a few more things so I have plenty of choices during the finish line. And I was like, well, that's funny you should mention that, because I just talked myself into casting on something new too, before the finish along started so it could count, you know.
Oh, because it doesn't, it does, anything counts.
Anything counts. You can make your own rules. So this is one of my unfinished projects, which I just started last week. It's using monochrome DK from Earth Yarns. And it is the Soho top by Kydri.
Is it garter stitch?
It's all garter. So yet another project with all garter. But this yarn, because this is what Kristin made her anchor in last spring. And she talked about how great it was as a cotton. It's 100% cotton, but it's a little bit mercerized. It's very round. Zero problems with splitting.
It's so easy to knit
It's
with.
not hard on my hands like other cottons. I am using a wooden needle, which you can see this is indigo dyed, so the dye is coming off somewhat on my needles. But I love the yarn. It's incredibly soft and
it's easy to take care of.
Easy, too. Yeah, that's what you said. You just toss it in the dryer every now and then. Or...
I wash it and then I am a lot of my wardrobe is air dried, and I don't lay things out in the typical way that people do just because I don't have a great spot for it, but I always year round have a rather big wooden drying rack.
Me too.
And when I have something like that to dry, I will put it kind of close together, my drying rack.
Oh.
And then I drape it over 3 or 4 things, so it's sort of drying flat-ish. And then sometimes it needs to go in the dryer for a few minutes, but
just suck it all in.
Just because it's cotton. Cotton stretches. And the manufacturers always are like, it doesn't go in the dryer, but I've learned with things that are not wool, sometimes it needs a little trip through the dryer. And I start out cautiously.
Definitely.
Very cautiously.
Yep.
And Yeah. So caution is a good thing for hand washable items.
Yes.
And people think it's so much work, but really, like, my process is most of the stuff goes in the washer. I put stuff in the dryer, and while I'm doing that, I make a little pile of whatever it is. Sometimes it's a big pile, and then I just bring it out to my rack and dry it and forget about it. And you know, it's not that hard. People always think that's too much work, but I have been doing that for a long time. And I don't think it's too much work.
I don't either.
And I really like clothes that last a long time, so I'm super fussy about fiber and construction and, you know, just making sure I have things that last a really long time. And the dryer definitely, you know,
take some of the life.
It does.
Here,
It does. I mean, I've heard of some people who don't put their jeans in the dryer. I don't know how you do that, but I guess I have done that, but I can't be bothered. I can't. Some people iron their jeans.
Wow.
I'm not one of those people. No offense to you ironers. I live in Maine. That should be a bumper sticker. I live in Maine. We don't iron denim here.
No, definitely not.
We don't.
Well, this feels like we've had a nice little catch up.
We have.
And we've gotten some rows in.
We've gotten some rows in. I've gotten almost done with my second row, which means 2 more rows closer. Because tomorrow we're getting our clue. We're so close.
We're close, but like, I don't know. Can I really do 20 rows?
Is it really 20?
I mean, for me, I'm kind of 20, I think.
Is it 20? I thought we were in the same spot. Maybe mine's 22. I just, like, that seemed like too many, so.
It's a lot of many.
It's a lot of many's.
Many stitches. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today. And, you know, if you enjoyed this episode, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment. We always love hearing from you.
We do.
Don't forget to subscribe so you can hear all about the news at the Goat.
And if you're a watcher and you are from far away and you come into the store, please say hi.
Yes.
And tell us, and we might even give you a sticker.
Yeah. It's good.
So
All
we
right.
always love to meet you in person.
In person is so good.
We always love to see what you're working on.
Totally. Bring your show and tell.
Yep. We love to show you the store. And yeah, we love to welcome everybody.
It's pretty great.
So we have a great community. It's amazing. And we're glad you're a part of it.
Awesome. Happy making, happy knitting, happy crochet.
Yes. Happy days. Happy summer.
Thanks for watching.
Bye. Rolling, rolling, rolling.
Keep them doggies rolling.
Man, my ass is swollen.
Right.